Hello, thank you for being here. I'm Ellen, and this is a sequence for low back pain. This one in particular focuses on, it's good for no matter what your low back pain issues are, but this one is especially good if you have what's called a posterior pelvic tilt. So if your pelvis is tilted kind of this way. Happens a lot if our hamstrings are really tight, and for lots of other reasons. So we'll be working on just kind of bringing some more motion into the pelvis, kind of opening everything up through there, strengthening the core to support that. And working on opening up the hamstrings in a more productive way for low back pain, because just forward folds are actually often make this worse. So take care of your body. If something hurts, back off, don't do it. Love yourself through this. It's all a journey. Be patient. All right, let's get started. So let's start this practice in child's pose. So your knees can be together or out wide. I kind of like together for today, just for fun. Just stretching out, feeling your forehead rest on the floor. Feeling your hips sinking down towards your heels on your exhales. Using this pose as an opportunity just to check in with your breath, check in with whatever's acting up in your body today, if anything. Just breathing into wherever you're feeling the stretch, wherever you're feeling any sensations or tensions at all. Just kind of breathe your way into your body. And then wait for an inhale, come on up, hands and knees. Cat-cow, so knees come apart, hip width distance. Again, dropping your belly down, looking up on your inhale, exhale, pull your belly in, around, and relax through the face, back and forth. Really initiating the motion from your hips with this one. So your hips really roll in, they really round up. The rest of your spine moves too, and it's amazing for your whole body, but let's just kind of bring our attention to the hips today as we grow our breath here. Back and forth, let it feel good. And then find yourself at neutral. Keep your hips like right over your knees as you walk your hands forward into puppy pose. It's like halfway between downward dog and child's pose. So your forehead's on the mat. Your sit bones are spreading away from each other, and you can kind of allow your hips to drop like cat, like that inhale cat, just to kind of really arch it up so your your hip bones really have space to just kind of open up. And then if it feels good, you can have one ear towards the floor or just your forehead on the mat, doesn't matter. So your heart is settling down towards the mat, your hips are reaching up towards the sky, relaxing as much as you can through your hips. So all those muscles, you just kind of feel them like stretching out a little bit. And breathing there. Should feel pretty good. If it's like kind of weird in your shoulders, you can kind of do whatever you want. The key is to just really open everything up kind of through here. We're going to need that as we move on. A lot of tension in the low back actually really comes from issues going on in the hips and the hamstrings. So we're going to kind of work with that a little bit today. And of course, it's always all about the breathing. Okay. Now like coming on up, using your hands to help you. And walk yourself out so you're coming all the way down to your belly. So your forehead can be on the mat, it can be off to one side, it doesn't really matter. I kind of like on the mat for this one, but I'm going to be here so that way you can hear me. So if you're really inflexible, you can do one leg at a time. Bring first your left leg up, reaching around with your left hand, and push your hips into the floor. So your hip bone, like that hard part of the front of your hip, you want to push that into the floor. And you don't need to pull too hard to make this like a really big quad stretch. It's more about what's happening in your hips. So your glutes squeeze a little bit to push that down. And you just relax. If you want, you can do both legs at the same time. It doesn't really matter, as long as you're pushing your hips to the floor. So stay here as you breathe. Take a couple more breaths on the one side if you're doing one at a time. Also, if like this feels like not super comfy in your low back to do both, it's better one at a time. Maybe we should have just done the whole sequence with one at a time, but whatever. Both are good. Switch sides if you haven't already done so. Keep pushing your hips into the floor, breathing into your belly. So on your inhales, you feel your belly kind of pressing into the floor. So this pose is great for opening up a lot of the quads and the hip flexors, obviously, but it's really, the point of it is to kind of start teaching your hips to hold your low back in better alignment. So really the pressing your hips into the floor is kind of the important part there. Let it feel good, and then relax your legs. Scoot your arms forward. Inhale, coming up into Sphinx pose. So you can have your arms, I kind of like for this one bringing your elbows out like a little bit out in front of you. Your arms are at shoulder width apart. Pull your elbows back so it's like they're moving back towards your feet even though they're not actually moving. It's just kind of the action as you pull your chest forward. I like to kind of press my feet into the floor just a little bit. Grow your spine up so you're not collapsing in your low back. That's kind of why I like arms here instead of kind of traditionally in here. It's easy to just kind of dump into it too much in the discs. So kind of coming here so you can keep your spine really long. And the muscles that are working here are kind of your lats, all kind of through here. Your feet are working, your hips are still kind of doing that same pressing into the floor a little bit. But you're teaching your body to be able to open up through your heart and stabilize through upper body motions as you work through here. So it feels really good. Might feel a little bit hard. That means you're probably doing it right. Couple breaths. So you're not just like hanging out, like just chilling. That's not what we're doing here. You're doing your yoga. Keeping everything active. Alright, and come on out of that. Might feel good. Take a quick little child's pose to stretch that out. And then come all the way back onto your back. You're going to extend your left leg out long. Hug your right leg in. So first interlace your fingers and just pull that knee kind of in towards your chest. It can be kind of out to the side. Turn your left toes up. And you want to be stretching out as much as you can through your left leg. Shoulders come down. So pulling in there. It should be like you'll feel it maybe kind of more like, oh, it's a pinch through here. Oh, stuff is happening here. But just so you kind of know why we're trying to do this, it's really about kind of opening up everything kind of through here. And that's going to help your hamstrings open up in a way that your body can actually support. Breathing into that little hip crease on the right side. And then if you can, if you have the flexibility, go ahead and grab onto that foot. It's not about like straightening the leg. We're going to come into a hamstring stretch. Bottom leg is super important here. Keep it nice and strong. But it doesn't need to be like a full straight leg hamstring stretch. It's fine if it's bent. We're just kind of trying to work on opening up the hamstring while keeping everything else in alignment here. So if this isn't happening, You can have your leg here and just kind of be straightening it out a little bit. That's fine too. If you're really tight in your hamstrings, this is such a good video for you. But you can also just bring this leg here and work on kind of straightening out through there a little bit too. But kind of check in with that, see how that goes, and then maybe work towards straightening this bottom leg, because that's kind of what we're eventually moving towards. So all these steps along the way. And then take it to the other side. Keep your belly kind of strong as you switch legs to support your low back. Hugging that left knee in, extending out through the right leg. Should feel kind of good, and like blood flow is moving in through here after having it kind of squished. Shoulders down. Really hug it in, let it feel good. Breathe into that hip crease. Still reaching out through that right leg, don't forget about it. And then taking your version of a hamstring stretch on this side, maybe grabbing into the foot and just, maybe, yeah, okay, that's good, you know. If that's not happening, this is fine. So you want to try it with the straight leg first, but if you feel like kind of like weird stuff happening where you can't quite get the motion, that's when you want to kind of take the modification. You'll get there. It's about meeting yourself exactly where you're at and not trying to push through to something you're not quite ready for. So active through that leg. Just still reach. That's the fun part. So a lot of times we think, oh, we just want to stretch the muscle and then everything is fine. The way to really correct pain and correct like dysfunctions and misalignments in your body is not just about stretching the muscle. It's about making sure the rest of the body can support and incorporate that stretch so you can stabilize for it. It's not just about like stretching. So that way, you know, when you see people just like reaching, craning, really doing it, it's like, oh, my leg is totally straight. It's like, well, yeah, but that's not helping you at all. It's not going to help your body learn to stand up straight. Anyway, and then when you're ready, relax it on down. You can keep both knees bent up. Now take your legs out about as wide as your mat. You want your toes to be pointed straight ahead. Subtle opening through the ankles, just so good for you. And then allow both knees to drop down towards the right. So your back arches a little bit here. That's totally fine. Just let it feel good. Sorry, towards the left, I guess. It doesn't matter. You're going back and forth. And then pull your belly in. Kind of keep your core tight as you come back through center. And then relax it to the other side. Yum. A lot of good stuff happening here. This is a great one for running because it also opens up your IT bands, which spinning too. And back and forth. I kind of like to coordinate this one with my breath. Everybody kind of likes to do this a little bit differently. Maybe inhaling and then exhaling into it. Bringing it back through center. Inhale, exhale to the other side. Just kind of whatever works for you. So you want to let your back kind of arch a little bit as you come in to the fullest expression of the twist with your knees all the way down. Let it arch. It's good. And then bring it back to center. Back and forth. A couple more. So it's actually a little bit of a core exercise too. Awesome. Once you get all that nice and warmed up, walk those feet in to hip width distance apart, arms by your sides. If you have a block or a pillow, it's actually kind of nice to put something in between your knees. It just helps kind of bring all those stabilizer muscles into action there. Anything works. You can fold up a sweatshirt or whatever. And then press into your heels. Keep your back at about neutral, so you're not flattening it, you're not arching it, just kind of where it naturally is. Squeeze the block just a little bit. Doesn't need to be a lot. And then press into your heels as you lift all the way up. Exhale, rolling your spine down from the one vertebrae at a time, starting from the top of your head all the way to the bottom. It'll flatten all the way out, and then you just let it relax to neutral, yeah? And then from there, you press on up. So your glutes have to squeeze to help you into the motion. That's on your inhale. Exhale, your core is to work to stabilize you as you lower everything down. And then you let it come to neutral, back and forth. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. So you want to keep the motion as slow and smooth and not wiggling side to side. I've got like some injuries in my low back, so you'll see my body kind of wiggling like this, or like when I'm doing forward folds and stuff, but that's kind of the goal, or the intention, I guess, is to keep everything nice and contained on this one axis and not wiggling. But our bodies are not machines, so let it be the way it is. Good. And then relax that out. So now that you're all warmed up, roll over onto one side, coming on up. Dandasana, or staff pose. So now we're going to kind of put all that opening and little organizing of certain muscles into use to kind of integrate it. So your legs are out in front. Pull your belly in, heart lifts so everything is nice and upright. Pull your legs in, and you're just going to hang out here. So your thighs are nice and tight. You're trying to pull on these upper parts of your thighs. So you're squeezing the hips forward a little bit and pulling your thighs into this. So this is all nice and strong without rounding. That's the key. If you're really tight and you're like, I can't do that without rounding, yay, sit up on something. That means this is a really good sequence for you. If it's hard and you're struggling with the poses, as long as it's not painful, that means you're probably doing the right poses. Like I used to hate chair pose and other poses like that because they were hard for me, but they're the ones that actually fixed my alignment. So be patient. So you can kind of sit up like that. That makes it a little bit easier. You can roll up the back of your yoga mat or whatever kind of works. Just give yourself a little bit of a prop. That can help. If you don't have a good option for that, or that still isn't doing it where you can't kind of lift up and kind of have this be nice and open, then what you can do, just have your knees bent a little bit. Bent as much as you need to. We're going to go into that next anyway, so it's fine. So the key here is not about straightening the hamstrings. We'll get there. That doesn't matter today. What matters is that your back is able to work, that your core is able to support your low back in this nice, strong, upright alignment without rounding and collapsing and causing all this angst and upset energy down there. All right. And then coming into boat, but we're going to do a modified boat pose. This is one of my favorites because it helped fix my low back, so you'll see it in a lot of my sequences. So hands on the fronts of your knees, pull your shoulders down, heart through. Still kind of activating through here. Like if you're getting a little fatigued through here, you're doing it right. Pull your belly in, lifting your heart up as much as you can. Again, so it's about kind of almost like exaggerating that curve just a little bit. It should be hard. That's okay. And then I like to just kind of hang out here and just really, really work on it. You don't need to kind of do the whole legs up version because that's kind of when we start to like, oh, I can't do it, but I'm totally doing it. See, like, don't. Better just to be here. If you're really strong and have been doing this for a long time and you're just kind of doing this as maintenance, you can kind of come up into a boat and challenge yourself a little bit. But again, you don't want to be rounding through here. I'm going to be lifting up. All right, and that's probably enough of that. Good. And then back to your back. Hug those knees in. Allow both knees to fall off to the right. Tee your arms out, looking off to the left. Just a gentle little twist just to relax out of it. And then take it to the other side. Twisting off the other way. It doesn't really matter right now. We're mostly doing this now just to like relax and release the low back. So it doesn't matter exactly how your knees are. Just let it be comfy. Let it be good. And then come on back out. So bring your feet together, knees out wide, just to kind of stretch out these inner thighs that we've been kind of working with. So just something that I'm thinking of right now that I think is really important to know if you're working on trying to kind of heal and love your low back through yoga. And I said this, I think, in my other low back video. Really be careful about over straightening the knees when you're doing hamstring stretches. It'll make it worse rather than better. So in any forward fold of any kind, it's always better to have a little bit of a bend in your knees. So just food for thought. And then you can bring your knees up. Final Shavasana. You've earned it. Enjoy it. Relax everything out. Trusting that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, that the universe is working on your behalf to heal what ails you as long as you stay aware, stay awake. Continue practicing your yoga both on and off your mat. Relaxing all your muscles down into the earth, letting everything go.